So is it Saturday? How was the difference in Saturday, Barry, versus normal Sunday, man? That had to be a little different.
It was a little different.
With our lead group for the final round of the 2005 United States Disc Golf Championship. Seeing off first, the 1992 Amateur World Champion, winner of the Great Lakes Open 2001 and 2005. Please welcome from Livonia, Michigan, Scott Martin.
Really lefty friendly course too. I think you'll see some of that today. He's the only lefty in the lead group though.
I don't really know if I'd say lefty friendly. I just think that's some of the most troublesome holes. Just have kind of visual.
Well, look, he's clearing them out down the left side.
I didn't even think that this was really a shot.
I didn't know. Yeah, I mean,
I've never seen a lefty play that shot, especially during the tournament. Maybe during practice. But
I wonder if he took that every round if he came out wide like that. That's a hard shot with that low-speed driver. That's one of them shots you like. That worked out fine. That's an unusual route for sure. I mean, are you throwing a rock or a putter here? I know
Winner
in
of two National Tour events this year, the Waco and Brent Hambrick Memorial. Please welcome from Springfield, Oregon, David Feldberg.
Board. Yeah. He's going to assimilate the hole. Oh yeah, that's nice. That's what you look. That's what I try to do is get something to skip off that hill, slow it down. Good stuff.
Two-time world champion and two-time United States champion. Please welcome from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Barry Schultz.
No, that is not a putt. That is a KC putter. A little bit of a lucky break, but not lucky enough to give myself a putt.
Yeah, that's really a layup area.
2005 world champion. Please welcome from Capitola, California, Nathan Doss.
Great man. Confidence is everything. I mean, Nate's really just staying right where he was at the Worlds. It's amazing.
Absolutely, I definitely see it when you watch him play and when you talk to him. Definitely has that level of confidence to him now that he may not have had last year at this time.
Well, I mean, everybody talks about his putting. I think you said that he didn't miss a putt outside of 35.
Amazing.
At the Worlds. Unbelievable.
Bring it down, baby.
Absolutely amazing. I've never seen anybody putt that well for that long of a time.
Well, coming in to the final round, I mean, obviously with Scott teeing off first. Here's his obscure left-handed drive. That's a good place to be right there. It's a little longer now. What'd you say they moved that basket back 20 feet, something?
Yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood.
I mean, before that was a lot easier putt.
It's kind of funny because the bailout area there used to be right on that tree that Scott was kind of just past, and it used to be a nice little 25-footer, but now you're looking at 40 feet. It's a lot tougher, downhill, fast green. Not a place you want to be.
Well, it's like I say, it's really a layup area. I mean, just to go for that and to give it, the shot for a 20-foot comeback putt on the first hole, that takes a little nerve. So starting this hole, Scott was in the lead. I think he was 23 under. Feldberg was at 22. Barry, you were at 21, and Nate was at 20. So we had a pretty good bunch up there. Even the second group, Sprague, who'd been in the lead group all weekend and pretty much in the lead of the tournament, was at 19. He just missed the final group on Sunday. And McCoy was one behind him. Swebby.
Saturday,
you are correct. That's still so unusual.
I'm sure you'll be catching me doing that same thing.
And Swebby was at 16, and then Board. So hole 2, what are you really trying to do here? Are you wanting to get up to the right, to the left? I mean, it's a dangerous hole. I bogeyed it every round.
It sure is. Roller seems to be the shot as you step up to it, but that ground isn't all that consistent up there. I don't really like to throw the roller unless I have to. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, we lost a major tree towards
to the right.
towards where Dave kind of landed there on the right side of the fairway. And they've since planted another tree there, and it's gonna take hold. But right now, I think the hole plays a little bit easier than it has in the past. Just as far as off the tee goes, where you can safely get that shot out there in the 400-foot range, where in the past it was tough to get that low ceiling past that tree.
Right.
So it's a little bit easier, but it's still a tough shot, because if you make a mistake, I mean, you're bringing a lot of numbers into play when you make a mistake off that tee.
Boy, Terry's at a tough angle to cover that. That's a pretty good job there. That's the second one. It's just it just comes up on you so fast. He looks like he's about 300 feet up the fairway.
Oh, he's got a lot of zoom on that thing. You know, technology's a wonderful thing. I think this hole sets up great for Scott as a lefty. He can play the hyzer skip shot. I'm sure he didn't get right enough for his opinion on that, but the second shot definitely plays good for the lefty, coming in at the out of bounds or at the inbounds instead of going towards out of bounds. Was that the same proto beast that they sent you 3 years ago? That is actually the very first beast I ever received from Innova. I remember taking it with me down to the big show down in Texas one spring. Boy, it still flies pretty good. It is, you know, it took a beating early and it kind of beat up, but then ever since then it's been staying real steady. Hey, there's Goob in the background. MTL, Ant. Absolutely. It was nice seeing him. I haven't seen him around much since the Worlds in '97. Well, Goob, you know, he actually built one of our courses originally in Charlotte, Kilbourne. He was a huge part of our whole scene when I first got started. So this is the second shot on hole 2, and you're thinking that he really wanted. He probably wanted to get right closer to that fence, I'm sure, so he could have the better lefty angle into the pin. But even then, you know, he's far enough back that he had the distance to get there. But again, did he want to take that chance to try and get all the way to the pin? I don't know if he was there. It really gets narrow when you get up there after they dropped the parking lot in on us a few years ago. Here's David. He's still got to be a little nervous. He really, you know, he wants a major so bad. He's been so close for so long. That was really unusual. He's really getting better. Him almost jump back there. He sure did there. Oh, that's not a good shot. That was a soft clap. Dave has a clap system, you know. He sure does. We'll try to define. You usually can't tell if he's playing well or not playing well. Usually, you know, one clap is bad. 2 claps equals good for Dave, but it varies. I'll have to pay attention to that and see if that's true, Billy. Good follow through by Nate. I mean, just total really opposite of what Dave did. Oh, he doesn't like that though. Nate really has a great woods game and a great controllable game, nice and low and controlled. I think it's confidence. It's amazing what it does for you. I mean, you know, to be in the lead group back-to-back majors is saying a lot for a new kid. Well, I think he also wanted to make sure that he had a good showing there, so that people didn't think that the world was a fluke. No, I think that's probably a rock. Rock. I was going to say that's a little long. You threw it a little, just like a warm-up shot. That'll get you a birdie. Well, that didn't work out too bad. Although now, you know, Terry on the move, I believe this is Nate's par putt instead of his birdie putt. Well, we had a pretty good crowd up there, so if Terry had to do some jostling to get around some people, he may have missed a shot or two. And we'll go on to hole 3. Barry did finish up with a birdie. David did par. And unfortunately, Scott bogeyed the hole. Well, like I said, he was a little bit further back and probably not in the best position off the tee, so he probably didn't want to take that chance of trying to bite off too much of the hole and take the par. Well, that'll put Feldberg ahead of Barry by 1, ahead of Scott by 1. That puts you and Scott tied. And Nate is now 2 back. This is always a fun hole. Oh, this is a great picturesque hole. I can remember when they found those, I don't know what you call those that are planted chess pieces, I guess, is what we've been calling them. Yeah, they're really nice, and the fence coming in. But I'll tell you, the OB's gotten tighter and tighter, and the trees are growing out wider and wider. So it's really tough to read the wind here once in a while, too. And this year we had the fence added, so it really, really wasn't in play, but it sure did give you a little visual just obstacle. A 3/4 rock there? Yep. Oh, yeah, that'll work. You really have to be careful with the wind because you can't feel which way it's blowing when you're on that tee pad. It's tough. Most of the time, guys make the stable choice there, but if you don't get the wind you're looking for, you could skip out of bounds real quick there. Looks like Dave also's got a mid-range rock.
about 3/4. This hole's 389. It really doesn't play 389.
No, it doesn't. I think with the grass being short, guys are playing that low skip shot a little bit more this year than they have over the years past. We're trying to be golfers and learn from mistakes in the past and trying to get better. So we're all paying attention to what's going on out there and making the adjustment.
Nate's got his red on. That's a little more aggressive. That's
a lot higher than most guys have been going to.
That's a wonderful drop. That's some love there.
Yeah.
That's a good miss, Nate. Good miss. He knows it. But, I mean, that's the difference. An inch here or there is a matter of 2 to 4 strokes a lot of times out here.
Sometimes you can say all your bad shots can be summed up in about 2 or 3 feet. If you can have 2 or 3 feet throughout the round, we can move your disc, a couple inches here or there.
This is pretty lefty friendly. I mean, just because you don't have to take those trees into consideration on the right.
He still has to read the wind right, though.
Oh, no doubt. Good little gallery here. Hey, there's Boz. Des.
We don't get to see any of these putts here, I guess.
Let's see.
I think we all made birdie there. A couple of good putts.
Yeah, this is a star frame hole. The next hole's really not very filmable. It's been called the horseshoe hole. It's been called a lot of things. Here you'll see them coming out. Again, we'll tell you everybody did birdie. They had a star frame on hole 3. And what you do here is you come out of the hole. Well, we will get to see Dave make his tap in. Attaboy board.
Yeah, if Dave's not doing any squatting, there's a tap in.
But coming out of the hole, I prefer a thumber because I prefer 2 thumbers on the hole, and I think I birdie it at least two times each year with that. I know you've thrown it in with an invert or in flip a couple years ago.
Yeah, the upside down grenade shot for one of the only deuces on that hole years back. It's kind of a classic risk reward hole for this course. Guys that want to take some chances can be aggressive with the driver and try and reach that green area in one. But that's a very, very risky play. You're bringing a lot of high numbers into play.
Oh, the way it's grown up, too.
But, that green is really tough and challenging. It's a unique situation because we have, a lot of things guarding both your first shot and your second shot here. So it's a good use of what trees we have here, but it's quite unique for this course.
Well, going into hole 4, Dave's in the lead, still by 1 over Barry and Scott. Nate's still 2 back. Nothing changes. This is a tough hole where, like you say, really I don't know that you get a lot of risk on it. We really don't have footage. It's very hard to cover. What did happen was Scott took a par 4, and David, Barry, and Nate each birdied the hole. So relatively easy. And what we'll do now, look at that head, that mullet, if I've ever seen one. We'll move to the signature hole on the course. What's that in your hand there, Barry?
That is a yellow DX rock.
DX rock. So this is one of the longest holes on the course. Tell me why you're throwing a rock.
Controlled distance. I want to make sure I know where my disc is going on a hole like that. I can
not
throw that rock.
Throws a rock 360 either.
Yeah, that rock is pretty consistent for me, anywhere from 300 to 360, like you said. So I know I can put it in there, and my mistakes aren't going to be exaggerated on.
That looks like a driver Dave's got. He's going to get a little more aggressive. I mean, it's pretty good day for the wind. I mean, it's not overpowering, almost aiding. Oh, that's a good smooth shot by David.
And he wasn't trying to bite off too much there.
No, but he's still, I mean, that's 400 plus. That's in a good spot. Green flag. There you go. 2 claps. That's a good shot. And Nate looks like he's going with mid-range. He's just trying to place it as well. Now, really, you've got danger here. I mean, not just from the drive on the right, on the left, but if the wind picks up, you have a small cut roll, a little extra skip, you're in the water.
You got a blind landing area with possibly...
That's potential cut roll right there.
Yeah, right there. With wind that you can't feel. So, anything can happen in places you can't see. You got tight grass where you can skip, like you said.
Well, I'm going to say it again. This is a left-handed friendly drive. I mean, if I'm a left-hander, I'm feeling like I can get on it just a little bit more.
He's got to be licking his chops here. He knows that this is a fairly relaxing hole for him, that he can play his normalizer shot with relative ease. A little more challenging for us righties. but the roles are reversed most every other time we go out there. So
Well, Nate actually, I mean, he must have cut and rolled back up because he's well away from the water here on his second shot. Got a little gallery forming, starting to pick up.
then we got some players coming off the course, grabbing some lunch and coming out, and then watching the final couple groups coming out.
That's a good, safe shot. A little too safe, way away from the water, but that's going to leave him in a precarious position.
It's a tough position. You got that downhill.
It's a tough
You
run-up.
think it's a place that you want to try and throw really hard, so you don't have such a hard second or third shot coming into the green. But man, the more you bite off, the more chance you got of getting a lift and hyzering out into the water or turning over into the woods. That's one you got to really commit to whatever shot you're choosing to throw there.
Well, Terry, I tell you, that camera's got some zoom. He's over here, at the next tee pad. He's coming across, past the basket, past the green, across the water. And here's Scott. I'd imagine he's just going to do a dump hyzer, get himself in position for his birdie up. That's about where he wants to be. Are you trying to get, near the water on your second shot? Or,
obviously
where's your preferred landing area for your birdie up?
Well, obviously I'd like to be about 3 feet from the water so I can have the closest and shortest shot to the pin, but to try and land something that close to the water is really difficult on a shot like that, especially if you're trying to throw more than 300 feet, which we all basically are here. So,
are you throwing a rock mid-range on your second shot?
The second shot,
well?
no, I'm throwing the driver. Trying to get at least that 350 down there, trying to make that third shot easier. If the wind's not that bad, then I might not try and bite off so much because that third shot will be easier. But the wind up and down, you want to try and make that third shot as easy as can. There's no easy shot here at all. So
here we'll see what we're talking about. He's got the trees in his face. That's a tough shot, and that's a good 400-foot shot from where he's at.
I was kind of surprised he actually took that chance. I thought he'd be laying up and going the outside.
Yeah,
take his 5.
That's OB there. That's just maybe a poor decision, but he's made some great shots, so he can pull the shot off. It's just one of those shots you pull off maybe 2 out of every 10 times.
Martin, right?
Yeah, usually if I'm stuck in those trees over there by the road, you just take your medicine like a man and take your 5. If you can get the 5, it's not always easy.
Hey, there's a Canadian, Vandenberg, showing up. One of the most interesting things that you said to me in some of the interviews, and it rings really true, I thought about it when I was playing, is when you make a mistake on the course, there's no place else. You have to accept it. You have to accept it, swallow it, move on, because there's not a hole out there designed that you can get a stroke back on.
No, there's not. There's very few chances where if the wind is just right or the weather is just right, you can maybe
he's
be
wide.
Ooh,
what a mistake.
Wow.
That's Scott.
I would think his mistake would have to have been right there. Saw it off short. If
He
was
looked
gonna
like
make
he had
any
the
mistake
right
there at all.
distance.
Yeah.
Now, is
don't
this
know what happened
the
there.
same rock you teed with?
No, this will be a DX Pro Valk. I think I'm feeling a little bit of headwind, so I'm trying to be aggressive and throwing it low.
Kept it nice.
Trying to get up there and just
that was
barely
pretty
made
close.
it. But we were talking about trying to maintain focus on the course there when you're losing strokes. There's nowhere to try and get a bonus birdie or something because, those holes are tough enough to begin with. Some courses you can try and be aggressive, try and get a deuce here or there, but there's so few birdies that are easy here to begin with that you can't try and make up. You can't put that extra stress in your game. If you do, you're going to make more mistakes. You can't change your game plan halfway through because of what happened before. You chose the game plan for a reason. You got to stick with it.
Here's Nate after going OB, so this will be his up for the par. That's a good shot. A little long, though. When the wind's blowing, that's
a tough
usually
shot,
a headwind. Oh, something interrupted Scott. I don't know if that was in the gallery or just in his brain. He's probably still a little frazzled after letting one of his, favorite holes, but definitely one of his most advantageous holes get away. There's Mr. Rothstein in the background. Got a good gallery showing up. That's probably just a mid-range, wouldn't you say?
No, it's probably a driver again. Again, he's probably in the 320, 330 range at least, going across that
solid
water.
there.
That shot's not easy with any kind of wind there. That peninsula looks smaller and smaller, and these bushes that they've just hyzered over are getting bigger and bigger every year too. So,
whoa, that's got to get.
Wow.
That's close to going OB long. He almost, by getting it so high there, he almost overthrew it. You know, that's one of the things too with the new plastic. Man, I'm finding the cleaner you hit it, I mean, it just really goes. You don't have to overpower everything anymore.
No, you don't. A smooth release really does all the work for you with this new plastic. And a lot of it is really active on the ground, too. So in a shot like this, when he's coming in high like that, you don't want something to be so active on the ground.
Well, you know, walking to this hole, it's a pretty good walk. You know, you guys are in a battle. I mean, are you thinking at this point in time about, you know, the score, or are you just trying to execute your shot and whatever
exactly.
happens?
Staying in the moment, trying to put the best move on every shot that I've got in front of me. I'm sure everywhere else is probably doing the same thing.
This is for par for David. This would be pretty good because this is a little long on the...
He was in the trees off the tee a little bit there. So
that's a really good par putt there. A little fist pump. And this is for birdie. You played the hole really well. You went rock, then you went driver. This is about maybe 25 feet. Just a touch high.
A little too aggressive.
So, I mean, yeah, you know, maybe the wind's picking up. It's really, you know, all these things going through. That's a nice beauty shot. All these things going through your head, and, you know, you're trying to clear your head. And here's a really good, I mean, this is Nate's putt. I mean, from this distance, he is absolutely deadly over the last 6 months.
At the Worlds, I can't stress enough how good his putting was. I mean, he was a world-class putter, and he got the results from it. And he said he practiced and tried to keep in mind what his goal was every time he practiced, and that just shows you what dedication and effort.
Well, those are two big bogeys with a penalty stroke on this hole for those guys.
Yeah, that's a good score.
Right here in the heat of the battle. And so Barry for his par, and then, oh my God. You know,
that was a little strange. I was trying to reach out.
You didn't putt it. You were dropping it in. I mean, what happened?
Just reaching out, thinking it was a drop in, and it was just a little bit out of my reach. So I tried flipping it over the edge and caught a finger or something there.
I'm impressed with the way you handle it. I really don't know what you and Scott were talking about. I'm surprised he was talking to you even. You know, even with the debacle, you know. You're up by 2.
This is a tough shot coming up here too. So
I mean, you're down by 2. Scott's now down by 3. This is a hard hole. I mean, you know, I can only imagine the rage going on in your brain.
This technology
right now
has made this hole a little bit easier as far as I'm concerned, but it is a very, very difficult hole.
Oh, it's very difficult, especially after you just missed a 2-foot putt. I mean, how do you? That's beautiful. How do you recoup in order to just relax enough? That's some great focus there. You know, that's a birdie, dog. I mean, right after a total debacle, it's hard to do. It's really hard to do.
Well,
tell me how you did that.
I learned from everything I've done over the last 20 years playing this game. You know, you make a mistake, instead of brooding about it and thinking about it, you have to move on and stay focused at what you got sitting right in front of you instead of what's behind you.
Well, you didn't let it cost you another stroke. Now, see, there's a big hyzer here, which is a preferred route, but really risky because the disc gets super hot. You know, you chose to go straight down at it. Is that because of the new technology that you can sort of back
because
off?
of the tightness of the green up there, where you can have what I would consider a near-perfect shot and skip like Nate did out of bounds there.
That's back-to-back OB
and with
strokes
wind,
for Nate.
With the wind up and down there, I wanted to make sure my shot was more predictable, so I went lower. I mean,
well, you know, for years this was known as Kenny's hole. I mean, this was the beach hole, and him being from Florida, and you know, before the disc technology, this was a tough hole to reach. You know, with the big hyzer over the trees there before they grew up.
T-birds and eagles years ago. Now that we're saying those are slow, I can't believe we're saying that those are actually slow discs, but they are.
It's amazing. Thank you, Dave. There's Nate for par. I mean, you can see how close he is to the bucket, and you know, it's just so hot. This is one of the most unique holes here with the bamboo. It's a thumber.
Just outside of my thumber range there, Bill.
Yeah, that's just really a tough alley to hit. Most players that I see successfully throw in the hole do the big spike hyzer, which I think you'll see David do.
Right.
You know, most of the best rock players in the world will try to throw straight down because they feel like it's a huge hole. It's a tough hole to hit.
Yeah, the spike hyzer isn't my strength. I'm not bad at it, but it's not my strength. I thought that straight shot was my strength. That's why I typically throw that straight shot there.
Well, you're down by 2 going into here. We'll see what Nate does. And, you know, there it is. That's just right at the basket. I mean, perfectly straight. That's textbook. So Nate will have himself a pretty easy birdie there. And I'm imagining that Scott's going to take the big hyzer here as well. The only problem, is depending on the wind, because that's twice in a row Scott's been interrupted. I think, I don't think somebody interrupted him that time. I just think his brain's
was
in
a footwork
overdrive,
issue.
maybe. Going back to consult with his lawyer. He's not going to change disc.
I think Scott's been playing a lot this year. I just don't think he's been playing a lot of tournaments. He works a job where he's got to travel a lot. He doesn't always have a lot of time, but
he's been having some ailments with his back too.
He takes the disc with him, I know, and he plays whenever he can. And
that's a little wide.
I think he's been around the game enough where he can kind of turn it on and off when he needs to.
Hey, here's one of them shots you practice, at the park when you're tired of playing and you don't have anything else to do, and you just stand around
Absolutely.
and flop.
A game of disc with somebody really can help you get better.
Well, you can tell you've made that shot more than once. That's not a standard shot for sure by any means. Now, Scott's got a pretty good look here. I mean, he's about 25. There's the Lizard Lawyer.
And he's a real good putter, too, so you think he's going to make this.
Mark being a good caddy, just trying to stay out of the way, give Scott everything he needs. And Scott's still right in the thick of the battle here. I mean, he's only a couple back, And I believe this is the first time he's came into the final round with an actual lead. And that never really had a chance. Low the whole way. And, what's the mindset like versus, when you started 3 behind versus starting in the lead? Do you have any different mindset?
I don't know. For me, it's different every situation, every tournament. Scott's been in these kind of situations his whole life. I mean, he's an amateur world champion. He's almost been in the lead
group here every year, just about.
Peoria, where he grew up, there's 10 tournaments a year in that area. He's been in many events. He's won a lot from coming from behind, having the lead. I mean, he's been in this situation. He knows what he's doing. He probably doesn't feel it a little bit right now. He's probably getting a little stressed about it, but got some tough holes coming up when you cross the road. That's
where the tournament
heart of
really
the course,
begins.
man. I mean, say what you will about those first 5 holes; they're tough and all, but man, when you cross that road,
well, Feldberg's feeling pretty good.
Screws get tighter for sure.
He's got you by 2 now. He's 4 ahead of Scott. I mean, Nate's still holding on. Boy, that's risky. That's right at him. And with the OB on the right now, boy, that's some love there. He's got to like that. But good kicks, bad kicks. We all get kicks. Attaboy, Nate. Here's where it all begins for sure. When you cross the road, if you're frazzled at all, you're in big trouble. Wouldn't you agree?
Big trouble. I mean, there's no relaxing at all on this course. So we did a lot of practicing this year. That's a route you like that. It just scares me to death because if you nick a tree there, you're going OB left. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I took that route all week here, and I really like it. I feel like I can throw that shot on a consistent basis. But like you said, I got a couple of bad breaks this week, and it really affected my position in the tournament. I may have to choose to play that differently next year.
Yeah, a lot of the guys will take the right side flex shot. I think mainly because it's giving them a better access for the second entry. But it's a tougher shot. I mean, no doubt initially.
I think the gap is smaller off tee.
I don't know if you'd call this one lefty friendly or not. I mean, there's trees everywhere out there on this one.
I think the second shot is more lefty friendly than the first one.
Unless you got a thumber. I enjoy this hole because it does allow a thumber upshot or a roller. Whoa, now here's what just happened here. We just went from...
This is the house hole.
That was hole 7. No, hole 8. On hole 8, let me try to bring you up to date. Scott did birdie the hole. David birdied the hole. Barry and Nate both parred the hole. Yeah, they partied. And then we go to hole 9, which is leading up to the clubhouse. We don't have any footage of that. Scott had some problems there. He went out of bounds. He took a bogey. It's a very tough hole. Barry and David both birdied the hole, and Nate parred the hole. And then we come over to hole 10, which is the hole you're seeing the second shots on right now. And as we stand coming into this hole, Dave's ahead of Barry by 3. He's ahead of Nate by 5. He's ahead of Scott by 6. So Dave, in the grind of the course here, he's got to start feeling a little comfortable, starting to separate himself a little bit.
But you can't be comfortable. You have to stay focused. You have to stay energized. Once you relax and kind of feel like you got things under control, that's when things happen to you out there.
Well, true, but when you've got, a 3, 5, 6 stroke lead and you're a third of the way through the round, you've got to have some of that pressure drop off.
You got to feel good about your situation, but
I mean, you can't be overconfident. I agree, but you've got to feel something.
I know I'd rather be in Dave's shoes right now than my shoes.
That's a good upshot. The OB really. I mean, this green, Harold is just really sick. The
He's
road
challenging us, and sometimes he really succeeds, and sometimes
well,
not
you can
so
see
much.
right behind Nate there's the yellow rope, and not even as far on this side is the sidewalk. I mean, it's a postage stamp green, and it's very hot. I mean, and most of the guys are throwing drivers in there. I've seen so many skip from out of bounds to inbounds, and vice versa from inbounds to out of bounds.
Absolutely.
That's a good putt, Nate. This is another one of Harold, and I'm going to say Stan had something to do with these as well. We're seeing a lot of that around our city in Charlotte, is a raised basket. It's creating elevation. We're in a flat land, and so Stan and Harold will put a twice as long pole, build something around the base of it, and it creates elevation, and it's tough. You miss a putt from where you are now, which is about an 18-foot putt, you're going to have at least an 18-footer coming back. Yeah, it's not much more than that. That's a good bid. I mean, you've got to hit something on
Absolutely.
the high putts. If you don't, I mean, I watched Wise Cup 5-putt from 15 feet because it just got to him and the wind was up, and it's amazing. Of course, he turned around the next day, I think, shot 57, something crazy. Solid.
Yeah, Steve Weisskopf might be old, but he's got plenty of skills.
Oh, yeah, he's got plenty of game left. Oh, Dave got a little bounce in his step there.
Well, he got another stroke there, so, any confidence that he had to start the hole, you think he's got to have even more.
Attaboy, Scott. So now we go to, well, this was originally the quarter-mile hole. It's been broke up now. But that is so risky, David. I mean, that is just a big hyzer. That's a bomb. And, I mean,
so tight up there.
It is so tight. It is so fast. I mean, he made a perfect shot. That's where you want to be, ideally. And that one extra little spin, and he's OB. I really chose. I saw a lot of players.
This is a hole that you
not
can
to
choose
go.
to be aggressive and try for the 3, or you can lay back and take a relatively easy 4 on.
That looks like maybe a mid-range, just placing it. That's a great shot. That's where you want to be on the flat land. He's got good footing. That's some great focus, Terry.
Looks like he could use some practice.
Oh, no, Terry needs no practice. He follows the disc great. I just have to give him an opportunity to dog whenever I can. This is, fairly left-handed friendly because he can really get on it at the OB, and he's not really bringing that OB right into play that much.
It didn't look like he was trying to take too much on that.
No,
either.
well, I mean, he's been
That
going out
second
of
shot
bounds.
really is really good for the left-hander coming up here as well. He's got that slope, and the out of bounds on the right. He can play up to the slope.
Well, I mean, are you sticking to the game plan here? Are you
Actually,
thinking
no, I'm
Dave's
not.
out?
I'm going for the 3 here. Instead of trying to go for the 4, which I had been doing all week, I had changed up and gone for the 3. Part of the reason was because of the wind conditions I thought were good.
Why such a different route versus Dave? I mean, he went big high to try to give himself some room, but he brought a lot
because of the
things.
skip.
Right.
I tried to go lower to not take the skip out and just didn't quite get on it enough, and it hyzer out on me.
But did his going out of bounds affect your thought process, you think, maybe with an opportunity to get greedy and try to get a stroke back?
No, I think walking to that tee, I had already decided that I was going to be trying to go for 3 there.
That's a tough shot from Nate. The blind shot here, I like the left-handed coming in because you can see what's going on and you're banking it into the hill. You throw it over the right side, and it looks good. It feels good. You get down, you could be 20 short. You know, if it carried, you could be 30 long. This is a real tough green.
I think what you're talking about really comes into play the second, third, fourth year you come into this course, where the first time you play a hole like this, you see this yellow rope, you see those slopes, you see the pin, and you're not exactly sure how to play it and what's the best way to go about it. It's really hard to get depth perception with these yellow ropes out there, you know. So it's tough to know where you can throw to, where you can't.
Now, with this hill being the way it is and is on the side of the hill, you're wanting to land that thing almost with the same type angle to prevent a bounce, a roll, a skid.
Right, exactly. That hillside really makes it tricky. A lot of guys are throwing rollers up there, but I threw the old Proto Rock up there.
So you're what, 280, 290?
I'm guessing that's probably good range right there. Maybe around 300 tops, but
and you really you
got that hillside,
can't
tough shot.
You can't be hot when you get to the ground. I mean, you've got to be out of speed.
I've seen shots skip right of the basket and end up out of bounds left on this hole.
Dave's not afraid of a hyzer.
No, he's not.
He tried to skip that in. He liked it. That was a one clap.
Hold for the flares, please. Hold the flares. Hold the flares, please.
So here's where Scott ended up. I mean, that's a tough area to be. It's not too bad to putt from, but now he went out of bounds. That was for 4.
Oh, he must have rolled. So that's the thing about that.
No,
hillside
I take
with no
that back.
grass.
I take that back. David and Barry went out of bounds.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the wrong
off the
hole.
tee there.
So that was for birdie for Scott. That gets him one back. And, really, a circle 4 on this hole is outstanding, if you think about it. But especially since you were playing it for a 4 all week long, you got real fortunate to come away with a 4P.
Sure.
This is for Nate's birdie. And again, I just can't stress enough. I mean, he goes through the same routine every time, and it's the same result. He picks it up out of the basket. I mean, it's beautiful.
It's crazy.
How old's Nate? 20?
If that. I mean, one thing that really stands out in my mind when I think about Nate Doss is Santa Cruz. I'm out there for the
I was
event
there.
out there and playing with him throughout Friday, I think it was, and he's telling me, "I'm looking forward to the weekend." How are you not looking forward to the weekend? He's like, "Well, it's my prom this weekend." What? Well, he had his prom going on, so he had to play in the event all weekend. Plus, he went to the dance. He probably got about 4 or 5 hours sleep throughout the whole weekend, but he still represented well. I think he even made the final 9 that year.
Yeah.
I think he had a lead. He faltered towards the end, but he still played great during his prom weekend with hardly any sleep. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
And he was a big basketball player, too, in high school. Well, coming out of this hole, that was 2 huge circle 4s for Barry and Dave. It does sort of tighten things up, but coming out of this hole, Barry, you're back by 4. Nate now comes into a tie with you, and Scott's just one behind you guys. This hole really lended a bomb. I mean, it allowed you to...
Players could really let go on here if they wanted to.
On a tee shot, you could really do whatever you wanted, and you had a lot of elevation to work with. In my opinion, the easiest hole on the course to birdie. I mean, I know you could throw. It didn't matter if it went right, it went left, it went straight. It was all about your second shot setting up. And a lot of guys tried to get greedy, going for an eagle because it was a chance for an eagle.
Right.
And if you go for the eagle, you're staring a 6 right
Is that
in
my
the
orc
face.
he's throwing?
Very well could be. That's one of the first run orcs, one of his favorite. That sucks when a guy's beating you with your own plastic.
It's
Look,
just
one
crazy.
clap, great shot. He likes it.
I tried throwing orcs for the longest time. Everybody was talking up, and I don't know, for some reason it just didn't work for me. So I brought all my orcs with one time to Des Moines, and everybody just almost tackled me to get these orcs out of my hand. And Dave and Avery and Sprague is throwing a couple of them, and Kenny's got one. Brad Hammock's got one. It's like all these guys are doing great with these orcs, and they just didn't work for me. Kind of wish I hadn't given Dave that one now.
Well, yeah.
I think he even had that thing in a bag the whole week, so we only take it out at certain parts.
Well, I just sent him 2 in the mail, so he's got more ammo, I'll warn you. But, this hole, I think that Harold is really going to address this hole next year, and you'll see it a lot tighter on the second shot landing zone.
I think the first shot landing zone probably should be tightened up a little bit because you can't read the wind off the tee there. That's more challenging.
But oh boy, Nate loves that. But it's good in the middle of all this stress with all this stuff building up. It's good sometimes just to be able to cut free and let whether it be anger or frustration, to just rip one and not have to worry about going OB. And then maybe when you get to the bottom of the hill, you've regrouped a little. I do like that. Hey, there's the champ out of nowhere, Kenny. This is on hole 888. Nice shot, champ. Crowd likes it. Kenny likes it. There's my big brother, Schwebby. Board really made a big showing this year. I believe he just got picked up by Discraft, too, so good for Board.
Good for him, man. He's a good player. I played quite a bit with him over this last fall. He's really gaining some confidence, gaining some skills. He's getting there. And living in the North Carolina area, he's really got a chance to play with some great guys and learn some great things on a relatively quick basis. So,
well, we're going to move to 888. Let me tell you, on the hole before, unfortunately, Terry must have went over to capture Kenny there. Barry, you made one heck of a putt, dog. That was about a 35-footer, I believe.
It might have been more than that.
It was a big putt at the time.
Yeah, you got the hillside behind that basket there, so anything coming up from a short side there is really difficult.
Well, that was your second eagle on the hole of the week. Oh, Dave, what in the world? 888, notorious for causing heartache. And that was lucky to get back where it was. That looked like it was right of the little island even. I mean, so there's an OB for
Well,
Dave.
there's no room for error on that. It takes a good shot or even a great shot to do well in that hole. I mean, a poor shot just isn't going to get it done. There's too many things against you on that hole.
I know you're trying to stay focused here, but you just pulled within 3. You're on 888. Nate goes OB, and you're laying in the fairway. You see Dave go OB. You're trying not to get excited. You're trying to stay to your game plan. How do you do that?
You might think that I might be flashing back to the playoff with Kenny and all, but and I did at times think about that playoff just for the fact to give myself confidence to know that there's lots of golf left. You haven't finished your last hole. Anything can happen on these tough holes. Just keep playing your best golf, keep putting your best move on it, and
here's
things
Dave
will happen.
After moving forward about 18 feet, and he's made a good, safe shot. Oh, that's hot. That's OB again. So,
tough hole.
Tell me now, are you beginning to change your strategy?
Absolutely not. Again, anything can happen. I've got tough shots ahead of me yet. So
good-looking shot. Oh, yeah. Now, that's a lie I've been looking for. Great shot. That's just
I think
there's nothing from there.
The redesign of 888, I think, is a great change. I think you probably could use a little bit of work on the green area, but the hole itself is much better. You can really plan a little better. It's more straightforward. I think it's just a better hole.
I got a feeling that lattice fence won't be there. There'll be something a little more attractive and a little more tough.
Whatever they do, it's
going
to work out fine, I think. But
well, Nate's going OB. Look,
change.
you can see he's getting a little flustered there as he's just, he's not resetting. He just wants to kick his stuff out of the way. He's got his shot, I guess, sized up what he wants to do here. There's a lot of options to what you want to do here. If you don't know, the green used to, that's OB again. Just unraveling for Nate. The green used to be to the right on an island out in the center, and we've relocated the basket further down the road behind that huge set of trees you see, and then tucked in behind some small shrubs. And finally you get to make your second shot. Looks really
like
good,
it was a long time
right where you
before
want to
that.
go, and a really
skip.
weird reverse skip. It's OB right there. You've made a mistake, but I do like the way you handle it. There's a lot more animation.
Well, again, I put the right move on it. I did what I wanted to do. It just didn't turn out the way I had pictured it in my mind. So
Dave making his third shot, really his third throw, his fifth shot. That got really lucky. That looked high all the way. He looks really frazzled right now and just wants to get off the hole, I think. But, I don't know what you do here. I don't know what the lawyer's telling him, but he's conferring with the lizard. The lizard looks like he's trying to tell him you don't want to do that. Scott's lefty. You know, the most accessible route from where he's at is down the road. That's the last thing you want to do.
Absolutely, because there's so much stuff on the left side of that path right there.
And the road sort of jutes back out to the right from where we are.
He's probably just going to have to pitch out here 40, 50 feet and take his medicine.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would be
move on, but
the smart shot. I mean, that's a tough spot to be. I mean, that's a tough stance. Look at there. That's nice. He's all balanced. I think he might try to do
short
something.
People at home, don't try this. He's about 6'2".
Oh, that's just insane. I mean, even now, because he is left-handed, if it doesn't hit anything, he could roll in the road right even. I mean,
I think it turned out all right, though.
Yeah, it turned out incredible.
No, it didn't.
There's a bonus from Terry Roddy. Now, Nate, I mean, over here, I know when we practiced this hole, you showed me a route in. I laughed. I tried it once, and again I laughed. I went back to doing what I was doing. And, you know, the primary route, because of the way everything is right there. It's low. You got to keep it down under everything. You know, Nate made a great shot, horrible result. I mean, he's not going to have a putt behind that fence. And, you know, your approach was different. I mean, you like a high approach, taking all the trees out of play, which is really hard to do. You say a hyzer's not your strength, but this is a postage stamp green you're going to try to drop this thing on, B.
Well, I just knew that my mistake here would probably be left and go out of bounds right by the pin there and take that easy circle, whatever it would be there. But the mistake going up the middle would be, you know, I could take another 3 or 4 shots yet, so.
Well, that was a good speed shot. That's what I call one of the toughest shots. You take a high-speed driver, you throw it at low speed, and you get it to go where you want to go. Dave, you know, he's got to be frazzled. He wants to get off the hole. He's throwing his fourth shot equaling 6. That looks really good, solid.
Hot, though.
Too hot.
There's only
OB
15, 20 feet
again.
there by the
I mean, you know, I did talk to Dave, and according to Dave, what was going through his mind was not again. You know, I just can't believe I'm going to do this again. And fortunately for him, in the middle of his argument with himself, he decided that he wasn't going to do it again. That's what he told himself, and he wasn't going to let it happen. And that was a real big turning point for his game right then and there, because it's pretty hard to bounce back from 3 OBs, you know, on hole 14 in the crunch, or 13. Now, you know, as great as Scott's shot was, it was more risky than it was great, I think. And I've been in the middle of this, and man, there's nothing out of there. I mean, there really isn't. You just want to get to the green within 20 feet.
This is one of the main reasons why I think this hole is better now that it doesn't cross the parking lot over to that other island. I think there's more challenges, there's more trouble. It's got a lot more character. If you can believe that we thought that 888 would have more character than it did before, but.
Well, now he's stretching the exact opposite way as he was just a second ago. I mean, he's really putting his back through the workout. No wonder your back hurts, Scott. Oh, that is such a small window he's trying to nail there. And, you know, he's even with this, he's trying to putt for a par here. This is a par 5. And what would you say this is, 37, 38 feet, somewhere in that area? I mean, it's close to 40 feet. Oh, that's huge.
86 off. He's pretty good with it.
Yeah, it's huge. That was just sort of nonchalant, really relaxed. Boy, he can take a deep breath now.
Yeah, he had a lot of venture on that hole, and he never went out of bounds.
That's a 5. That's a tough par. He's all over the place. Now, you see what I'm saying. I mean, Nate made a good shot.
Next year.
Don't
kid yourself, Billy. It'll still be there.
Oh, it'll still be there, but I think it'll be more aesthetically pleasing. I think it'll be something other than the raggedy lattice that we had left over from the bamboo hole in years past. But I'm telling you, I was in there once. Once you do crawl in there and you've got stuff sticking in you, on you, there's really no putt. Just to hit the basket was an attest that he's one of the best putters in the world from that spot. Boy, Dave, you know, this is a triple circle for Dave. Triple circle on hole 13. And that's just unexcusable. I mean, you know.
Well, and you know, he wasn't off by more than a foot or two total on all 3 of those shots.
Oh, no doubt. Well, now the first one was
just a little bit low. He was probably planning on to skip off the sidewalk.
The first one maybe got
you know?
back, but the first one was ugly. I mean, it was right at the
skipped out of bounds.
Second one looked really good. Just got a little hot, and you know, the lawyer may have a new client, Feldberg, after this hole. That's just horrible. So now, you know, everything's changed. I mean, there's still a lot of golf left. Now you're tied.
Yeah, well, definitely walking up that hill, I definitely felt a lot more energy than I did the previous, you know, half hour. Things weren't necessarily going my way up to that point. So
this is a pretty standard dump and
if
pitch
it's not perfect conditions, there's no chance. I'm not going for it whatsoever. So I'm just going that.
Well, the risk is, for those of you that don't know the hole, the sidewalk that you'll see, if you don't make it past the sidewalk, you've got to re-tee. So if you go for the big 2, which is doable, I mean, it's about 430, but it's downhill. And if you don't to it, you've got to re-tee. Now you're throwing 3, and you've got to try to go for it. And if you don't dump and chase, it creates a horrible situation for your brain.
Well, you got risk reward, you know.
Oh, he got really fortunate to touch into the land there, so he doesn't have to re-tee. That's just maybe a short arm?
I think so. Maybe a little relaxed or something. Maybe didn't come out clean.
Look at John Haupt spotting. That's how important we are. I got John Haupt up there spotting.
And you got yet another fast green on this course here, so if you are going for the deuce or even trying for an approach shot, you got to be landing at the right angle at the right spot here. You're going to skip or slide away from that pin.
Well, it's a really, I mean, I've seen you go for it in the tournament, miss it, and then then you're forced with that situation of I've got to go for it now. I can't resort to dumping it now. And you got to circle 4.
And that was one of the first years where I tried to make up a stroke or two there. By I wasn't planning on going for the birdie there, but hey, I'm in trouble. I'm behind. I got to try and make something happen. Well, what happened? It bit me in the ass. So what are you going to do? I learned some real lessons. I'm not going to do that again.
Well, I know, playing this hole in practice, I had been trying to reach it, and it was so awakening to me. I'm playing one day with you and Kenny in practice, and you stepped up and you dumped it over, and Kenny stepped up and he dumped it over, and I stood on the tee pad trying to decide what I was going to do, and finally I said, dude, the best 2 players in the world just dumped it. Dump the thing and move on, and I've done that ever since, and I haven't taken 7 on it, because I've tried to get greedy with it.
You may take the occasional 4 with an upshot or a spin or a rollaway or something, but you're not going to take a 5 or a 6, which are round killers. On that hole, you cannot afford to take a 5 or a 6. That's just
pretty standard here, except for Scott. I mean, he's going to take the 4P, which is really going to hurt him. Coming off of 13, we're going to the hole that was really designed and built for drama. The course has been won and lost there for 3 or 4 years.
It will continue to be for years to come, I'm sure.
I concur.
And they don't sit on themselves on that hole either. They add things and change things every year. So this year was no different.
I mean, that was close.
That was real close.
That was a solid.
If you can putt from that range, that's a good hole where you can try that on. But that can get you in trouble too. You can hit basket and roll away on that green.
Well, yeah, really, you're just going to pitch it, and you're like you say, it's a very favorable go for green from down in the bottom. Chance, you're going to have to hit the basket to roll away. You've got a good landing zone. I don't want to say boring hole, but fairly predictable hole. Unless you do want to get, greedy, and then you take it into your own hands.
Let's just say we all hope it's a boring hole, and we all take 4 3.
Correct.
We move on.
We're going into I call it the quadruple Mando. I mean, there's a line across the bottom. It's a window, man. Some people call it the clown's mouth. I don't really like that. It's a tough hole. It was built for drama. Thank you, Harold. Successful. Coming into the hole, you and Dave are tied. Tied for the lead. Nate 4 back, Scott 4 back. What's your mindset? I mean, are you and Dave just sort of, in a zone? Are you trying to focus in on what's going on around you? The next shot.
Again, I feel really good about these last holes coming in down the stretch. I'm just hoping to stick to the game plan, do what I want.
Well, you've got the box.
The changes on this year forced a change for me. Oh. They changed. They put the OB over by the road, long and left here, and you might think it's not really a big change.
That's where you usually like to.
But that's where I would normally end up on my perfect tee shots. I would throw the highs or skip through that, and it would end up over there long left, so I couldn't go with that highs or skip shot anymore because I didn't want to go out of bounds.
That's the
I had to
standard
change my
shot
a
right
little
there,
bit
maybe an inch right from being perfect. A good shot. I mean, you make
Still
it through.
acceptable under the conditions.
Right, so you got now Dave's still got to throw, no telling what Dave's that looks what was that, 2 inches high?
Yeah, and he's one of the best low tunnel throwers over the last couple of years, so it's kind of surprising that he did that.
And this has got to be a butt puckering shot for Dave, no doubt. He knows the history of this hole, and that was horrible. That was a fortunate kick the way it got to. I mean, he could have missed everything and had to go to the drop pad with a penalty stroke, which would have really been detrimental for him at that point. So he gets a really good kick and sort of a cut roll back. Oh, that's just butter.
Beauty.
It's got to look like maybe took maybe a mid-range and just sort of smoothed it through. Not just mainly looks like trying to get through versus landing in a certain area. And this is a little different. Dave sort of gives them a lesson here, making sure everybody knows that the Mando is now your object. So you've got to square up on that Mando, not the basket.
That's correct.
Just for you rookies. And this is this is another shot that you've got to have. I mean, this is just like your upside down shot on the bamboo hole. It's not something you practice every day, but if you don't have it, it's going to cost you a stroke at some point in time during a match. And you'll see Dave pretty much do the same type shot, just a little flick cut roller, trying to get it through the Mando, back around maybe for an opportunity at an upshot and a par. Now, without a doubt, one of the toughest par fours you'll ever play.
Absolutely, because even if you make the Mando, you still got a lot of golf to go. This is one of the toughest greens.
Well, what you don't see is the 10 minutes of wait that you get to sit at the tee box looking at that window. Why didn't you go for it here? I was.
I believe I didn't have a great run up. I believe I had a tree in the back of the run up, and I saw a lot of wind coming through.
It's a risky shot. I mean, you can throw it in the stadium really easy if
right,
the wind turns
and
on
if you hyzer out and miss that big tree, you could go down to the out of bounds. That's down there. That's supposed to be for the next hole, but if we get down in there, down the hill left, that's also out of bounds. So I thought
that's
my only mistake
close.
there, I think, was I didn't throw my layup in the proper spot. I think looking back, I would have put my layup well further left, more left, and just a little bit closer.
Do you think? Now this is just a great shot from Dave. I mean that's one of the better golf shots he threw all week under pressure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, talk about changing the tide. I mean, you're through the Mando. He's not. He's obviously got a layup, and you choose to do the smart thing and lay up so that you can pretty much secure an easy four. And Dave makes a golf shot. I mean, that was an incredible shot that really I feel like propelled him. And here's what you're talking. You get wide left over there. That's no man's
30
land.
feet from out of bounds over there. There's some rope over there.
Now, Barry, you're known. You can see the wind lifted a little there. This is your bread and butter shot.
When we're walking here and we're playing this hole, there's baseball game going on. I see some dust coming out of the stadium there. I see that wind coming across that whole time. And I thought I played it right and didn't quite get it.
I mean, but no doubt a 290, 300-foot rock shot. I can say it, you're one of the best in the world.
Still in there within putting range, though. So
very true. But now you got a really tough green. I mean, the hole just doesn't get any easier. The tee shot, you wait, and then you've got the window box, and then you've got the OB parking lot. You've got the stadium right. You're thinking, okay, now I'm to the green. But you miss a putt here, you could have a 40-footer coming back with the way that hill is.
It's again a fast green on this course. Imagine that. Harold Duvall is an evil man sometimes, but he does get on target more often than not.
And you can see how far Scott is. I mean, it's still a risky putt with that headwind coming off of the stadium there, because if he lifts up, suddenly you're 30 feet past the basket. Now you're about 30, maybe inside. 35.
Right outside the circle.
So this is for your par. Just a little left there.
Again, everything that happened the last 5 minutes, all the wind I saw, all the wind I felt, all the wind I saw affect shots. I just gave the wind too much credit there. I thought the wind would push it back into the chains. I gave the hole away. Normally, from that distance, I wouldn't give the hole away. I wouldn't get outside the chains at all, but I did because I thought the wind was going to push it, and it didn't.
So you actually misread the wind.
Oh, absolutely.
Nice. You're
I
human.
put the move on pretty much where I was trying.
Well,
to.
I mean, yeah,
Just
you
didn't-
confidently went at it. You didn't, lay it up. You didn't short arm it. You made a good move on it. It just airballed, which is something a little unusual. But that sort of explains it. If you were looking
I hate
for the
that noise. That's my least favorite noise in the world. That stupid band.
boy, I mean, what? I mean, what just happened? You were in charge not 2 minutes ago of.
You can't relax. Something's going to happen.
I mean, in here, it's not over, but you got to feel like you just ripped the rug out from under your own feet. I mean, it's tough.
It sure is.
You handled it well. You sat down. You stayed to yourself. I didn't see you break anything. I might have broke something, but
I probably broke plenty of things inside my mind there. Again, if I had to release some energy, I did it quietly and tried to stay focused and stay in the moment because you got some tough shots coming up.
There's tough shots. Anything could happen. The next hole. And 17 is notorious for ringing up high numbers. And 18, anything could happen. But at the same time, the swing of emotions that had to just go through your body. To me, that's one of the hardest things about getting up on the next tee is trying to let go of, the idiotic mistake that you just made, that you feel that you had everything in control. And now, all of a sudden, you've dug a hole for no reason. And it's hard to let go and prepare for the next shot, which you did on the beach hole really well earlier after a wonderful 2-foot putt. But what do you do here? I mean, how do you make the next shot without screaming, hollering, throwing something, breaking something?
Don't know.
That's a huge 4 for David. I mean, maybe the best hole he played all week long. In trouble, extra pressure. And like I say, I think that's one of the better golf shots he's made maybe ever in his life, especially with the pressure because, he's been wanting a major for quite a few years now, and he's been knocking on the door.
He's played well enough in just about every event he's played in to win. So he's had a lot of chances at national tours, and he's won a bunch. He's had a lot of chances at Worlds, and he's come close.
And, it's interesting that in his own brain on 888, that's what came up was the fact that he had been here, he had done this before, and somehow or another, he was able to push it back, finally, after so many years of creeping in and say, no, this is how it's going to happen.
And that's just another example of the mind talking the body into something,
Now that's, you see there, he's really, Harold just brought that OB in even more close.
Tough shot.
And he's moved the basket back. This used to be 402. It's now a little over 420. That's a big shot right there. He's up by 3, and he's ready to try to put it in cruise control. He goes OB there. It could be a different story.
Kind of surprised he was as aggressive as he was there, because you can bring 4 and 5 into play real quick there.
Well, are you still throwing a rock on this hole?
Yes, I am.
That's sick.
Anything but a headwind, I'll throw the rock.
It's 420 feet, Barry.
It's downhill, Billy.
It's
Come on,
not
give me a
that
break.
downhill. I played those 420 feet, dog.
Yeah, but again, the rock is a consistent. I know where my mistakes are going to be. I'm
Yeah,
not
10-foot long right.
Not going to hyzer it out. I'm not going to totally flip it over. It's consistent.
That's a really good shot by Nate.
He's really good with that. Is
got
that
some
an XS
deceptive
or
power,
something like that? He's got there XL maybe. I don't know what that is, but he's really good with it.
Now, those are 3 drivers. These are 4 of the best players in the world, and now you got to go on.
And I think I got a little bit of juice flowing here too, so that rock shot was probably real.
Yeah, I could see some,
little easier.
see a little anger. That's a pretty good rock shot. 435. Yeah, that's standard. Everybody throws a rock like that, Not. So coming down here, you got to feel pretty good. You've definitely. You gave him at least 2 of the 3 strokes on the hole before, but again, with what's still to come, that anything could happen. So you really got to stay focused. You got to try and focus. Dave's got all his stuff compact up there. He looks like he's ready to go. Yeah, your body English is bad there. You're dragging behind there. I know it's hard.
It's nice to say you can turn it on and off, but it's hard to do it, man.
Yeah, it's not like hitting a light switch. And, this is big for Dave because he's in bounds. You can see how close he actually got to going out of bounds. He goes out of bounds and then he misses a putt. He takes a 4. All of a sudden, it's a 1-stroke game with 2 holes to go. So maybe he'll rethink his aggressiveness on that hole if he gets in that position again. There's Kenny Peace patiently waiting on a putt. Yeah, still being aggressive. I mean, you know, if anything, he's too high, and that's what you want.
One thing you can't really say about Dave is that he's not aggressive. He's always aggressive.
Well, I think Avery might breed some of that in him. You know, Avery is the most aggressive player I've ever been around. I mean, he talks about this course going at it aggressively like nobody I've ever heard.
And he had it going early this week.
Well, you know, maybe actually the best start, for those of you that don't know, ever in the history of the tournament, Avery was 10 down after 10. That's just not even fathomable. So now Nate looking to tap his birdie in. And, you know, this is where a lot of the pressure gets up because all the galleries out here, everybody's watching. All the other players are pretty much through. And, you know, everybody starts coming in. And so for Nate and for David, even though David's been there, it's a different type pressure. I mean, you know, fortunately for you, you're accustomed to the pressure. I'd say that Scott's also accustomed to the pressure being in this spot, at least on these grounds.
Oh, once we get to that 888, you know that there's going to be way more players there watching than there were earlier in the round, and spectators are starting to get.
Now this is not
and stuff, so.
This is not a gimme putt, especially not after what you just went through, and you still got a little wind. I'm imagining you're trying to block all that out and just go through your motion. That's
I almost missed it.
That's in though. That's a big move there. Nice. Let's see who we got walking up the road. There's Stan, his boy Drew McDaniel. Who else we got coming up the road here? There's Jaybird. I believe this is the first time he's came down.
And I know he had a great time.
And Matt Peckham. What do we got?
Nice, good crowd here.
There's Zeb, Josh, Libby. Look at John Howe walking with the boobs. Oh, here we go. Listen to this.
No way you can't hear that voice from anywhere.
Mace is his own horn. At least he said thank you. There's Brian Galler, one of Maryland's best golfers. Barry making his way up through there. Lots of staff people, lots of people there. Look at there eating Sammy Pool's ice cream. Some of the best things about the tournament. There's MTL. Just eat it. There's Mace running the show there, making sure everybody's where they're supposed to be. This is, this is totally different the way that the hole's been reconfigured.
Yeah, I'm not a real fan of the change on 17. I thought the old 17 was a better hole just because it gave you more options and you could read what was going on with nature.
Well, that's the tough thing about this. You're in a little hole, and no matter what you see, no matter what you walk out there and feel, you have no idea what that wind is doing. And it's, I choose a rock. Are you throwing a rock or a putter here?
It depends on the wind again.
Right, and it's sort of a nose up. I mean, it's really sort of like a toss shot, like a warm-up toss shot if you do it proper.
Yeah. It's definitely not a thumber.
That is. I can get a thumber in there. That is a beautiful shot right there that Terry just had with the water in the basket. That is very picturesque. These are some of the most famous grounds in our sport. I can remember after the 97 Worlds, Jonathan walking me around the course. Look at this. That's hunting. Beautiful, Nate. What touch. Jonathan Poole walking me around the course saying, imagine if we put this hole and this hole together, and then we put this hole and this hole. And I said, dude, are you crazy? This is already one of the most. He says, no. And this was before Yellow Rope. This was before any of that. And this was a safari type concept that Jonathan had. And you can see what
Gotta love hay bales.
2 inches?
That shark that was an inch too low, yeah.
Well, do you feel like you made just not enough spin on it, or if
probably too much spin or something? I don't know.
Dave's really got to feel comfortable.
Oh, absolutely.
Now. I mean,
until he threw that shot,
it's looking OB for sure.
It sure was.
Definite breaks. I mean, right now he knows he's got to mess up in order to lose his major.
He's got to have a catastrophe to happen.
And there's Randy. Great job, Randy. And it's hard to do because you've wanted this. Dave's dreamed of this for a long time. He's really worked hard to get where he's at. And he's still got a hole to play. I mean, like you say, if he relaxes, he could take an 8 or a 9 if he makes some bad shots on hole 18. So it'd be interesting to see how he goes at it, if he goes at it passive or if he goes at it aggressive. and you've got to really be feeling a little degenerative. You got to feel like crap.
Yeah. You got to think.
10 minutes ago, you had the tournament in your hands. I mean, and all of a sudden, things take a bad turn. And right there, you made a great shot.
Well, you just got to try what you can do every time you got the disc in your hand. But of course, I'm disappointed. Not only because I had the chance to win, but now, who knows if I'm going to fall in the 3rd or 5th or 8th place.
Are you thinking about that? I mean, most of the time you're talking $50, you're talking $75, $100. Here, you're talking about some substantially. That's a huge putt from David right there, and barring an aneurysm, that'll give him the major.
Yeah, I think he's feeling pretty good right about
he
now.
could give himself an aneurysm with excitement. Here, basically, not to rub it in, but by going to second, you lost $5,000.
I wish I had gone to second.
I'm saying on the in the battle. By going to third, you lost $8,500.
Yeah,
Are you thinking about?
You try not to let that stuff creep into your mind when you're on the golf course, but obviously, I'm at the point now where I really don't have a chance of winning anymore. So that kind of thought is definitely creeping into my head, where I'm thought, not only did I lose a chance to win, but I just took some traveling money out of my pocket by that finish. So, not only, that can do a number of things to you. I think it kind of buckled me down a little bit just to make sure I finish the course instead of giving away another couple of strokes here and maybe losing some more money.
Well, like you say, 18 is no cakewalk.
Oh, absolutely not.
And especially after your annihilation of the hole 2 years ago, Harold didn't really care for it. So
absolutely not.
He brought the OB in a little tighter.
He definitely cut off my landing area a little bit over there, and definitely made it a little bit more challenging for me if I was going to try to continue to play that hole the way I was. I think that's part of what Harold wants to do. He wants to challenge you. Just because you come to the same hole the next year doesn't mean you can play it the same way.
That's a really risky shot with that Anheuser, because that hill induces a cut already.
That's why I think you have to play on the right side of those trees. Otherwise, if you're not landing at the right angle, you really risk going out of bounds there on a good shot. So,
well, I go up the right side. I don't necessarily have the arm to make it every time, but when I hit it clean, there's no doubt. And David's being super aggressive. He really likes it out of his hand. That's it. I mean, he knows he's in a great spot now. He's right where you want to be. And now you've let that go. You're worried about just trying to finish strong.
Absolutely. I want this par bad because I don't want to have another bogey or double bogey or whatever the case is. Leave a bad taste in my mouth. I still want to come.
So you're literally, you're not so aggressive that you're going for the bird. You're just trying to not make another mistake and get off the course.
Just like every other hole, I'm trying to put the disc where my plan is to put the disc. So whether that's aggressive or not, it's all...
That's a really tough spot to be.
Sure is.
And that's a scary shot because that OB really gets narrow the closer you get to the green. And this, I've seen him do this more than once this week. He's in a good spot. I mean, it is really tough. It's so unfriendly for a left-hander. And he just cuts the edge on that corner.
He's pretty good with that turnover shot. He's got to throw it a bit, so he's good.
And he's got to get down because you go past the basket there about 8 feet, and then you're in some real trouble where you drop off and head towards the water.
Anybody seen Barry's disc?
I didn't think that was going to get back that far left. It looked like you had it out to the right, but there again, see, that's taking into consideration what Harold's done, or maybe overcompensating for that line.
I had a little bit of extra energy in me for some reason, so threw a little bit farther than I usually do.
I actually got to the little tree there on the first day. Hadn't played the hole because I kept practicing across the road, and all I could think of on the tee was what Barry said was that it's much tighter now. Much tighter. Randy Cox, one of my favorite people. Oh, there's the guru jumping in with MTL. Now that's a tough shot. I mean, that's a tough shot from where you are. Tough angle because you got to get it out wide, but you've got to get back, almost parallel to where you are.
That's such a tough shot on that fairway, that huge slope, the tight, gnarly stuff out of bounds left. It's not easy. I mean, this is the USDGC. I mean, it's supposed to be a great challenge. You don't want to take your average everyday golfer out here. They're going to get killed and not really like golf anymore when they're done. So this is a challenge.
You and Scott were pretty much neck and neck coming into that, and I mean that was a big shot by Scott. I mean that's going to pull him into a second place by himself. Which is the difference between $6 grand, and well, it wouldn't be $5 grand, but you and Kevin, I believe, split $5 grand. So substantial difference on the one stroke here.
Haven't even seen Kevin on here yet today, and obviously he played pretty well in that second card. He moved
Kevin
up.
had a great round. He's a solid golfer. He's probably Oklahoma's best, even with Coda pushing on his heels. He shot a 61 that final round, 7 down. I mean, that's hot. Swebby also shot 61, so that's a big move for both those boys off the second card. Oh, I believe he made a pretty good putt from about right there a few years ago, didn't he?
Might have even been further out.
For about 10 grand?
Hell yeah.
David's got to be feeling good.
He sure does.
That's a big birdie putt for you right there to remain for third. I mean, you missed that, you're going to go to fourth. So that was a tough hole there. Doing the proper thing here, getting out of the way, letting.
Oh, absolutely. Dave's been waiting a long time for this.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he has. Not many people were prouder for than Dave. I'd say my big brother Schwebby's next on the list for a major, so we'll be dealing with him as well. And the Borg for the moment he's been waiting for. Ever since he went on tour as an advanced player. David Feldberg winning his first major. Yeah, that's crazy, but that's what he did. He loves the sport. Getting a little love from the lead group. There's Champ and Champ.
What? Who is that?
I can't tell.
Isn't that Brad's buddy?
Yeah, from Florida. There's David with his shirt. David Feldberg, national champion. You see who he's calling here. That's his brother, Avery Jenkins. They are one and the same. Congratulations, David. Looks good on you.